So, hi everybody. Thanks for being here and welcome to our BB Jam session. As you can see from the title, today we're going to talk about the cross-platform development using Qt. And as most of you know, Qt is a cross-platform framework that enables you to build and deploy your application on several platforms. The idea is simply to write your code once and to be able to deploy it on different platforms, including, of course, BlackBerry 10, which is the focus of our presentation today. So we're going to show you how to build first, deploy and debug your applications on BlackBerry 10, and how to use some specific BlackBerry 10 APIs. So before I start, I would like to know how many of you are Qt developers? Okay, fair enough. Okay. So first, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Mehdi Fkari. I'm a software developer. I used to work with Qt quite some years ago, and currently I work in BlackBerry in the Qt team based in Munich. We mainly maintain the Qt port on BlackBerry 10 and QNX. My daily tasks varies between the Qt Creator plugin for QNX and BlackBerry 10, the Qt localization port, and some other related Qt development. Fabian?
Hello, my name is Fabian Bumberger. I'm also working on Qt for BlackBerry 10. As Mehdi, I'm also working quite some time on or with Qt. So I was very happy to join the RIM Qt team half a year ago. And my daily tasks are more or less the base port of Qt 4 and Qt 5 for our platform.
Thank you. So here is the outline of our presentation today. First, Fabian will give you an overview about what we want to achieve in the next 45 minutes. Then I will go through what you will need to have and what you will need to know about BB10 and Qt to start developing BB10 for Qt, or Qt for BB10. And then I'll show you briefly how to set up your environment using Qt Creator. Then my colleague Fabian will work you through the process of a Qt-based game and show you how to integrate and how to use some specific BlackBerry 10 APIs. Cool. Fabian?
Okay, so this is what we want to develop in the next 45 minutes. It's a small QML game. Uses Box2D for simulating the world physics. We not only will show you how to develop this game, we will go over the whole process of setting up the project and then later on deploy it on desktop and mobile. And from a platform integration point of view, we will also look at the Sensors API for introducing gravity. So I first want to show the final game on the device, actually.
HDMI,
yeah. So it will look like this. You can turn the device around and the boxes will follow. And the goal of the game is to hit all the boxes and destroy them. Okay. One.
Thank you, Fabian. So as I said, like most of you knows Qt, I guess. So Qt actually, as I said, is a cross-platform framework that enables you to build your application and deploy it into different platforms. Which is good is that Qt runs on really almost all the platform existing on the market, including iOS, Android, and now BlackBerry 10. A big effort actually has been done over the 2 last years to bring BlackBerry to bring Qt on BlackBerry 10. We're not going actually to talk about the process of the port, as it's out of the scope of our presentation, but just want to let you know that we currently have a full functional Qt port that contain or cover almost all what the developer need. Of course, sometimes you need to tie your application in order to make use of some specific platform features. That's why we're going to show you how to use some BlackBerry APIs in your Qt application. Okay? So what are the tools that you need to have? First, you need to download and install the BlackBerry 10 native SDK, which, by the way, contain a pre-built Qt version that enables you to build your application for both ARM and x86 architectures, so you can deploy your apps on both the simulator and also the device. You also need to request BlackBerry sign-in code keys. I will briefly explain it on the next slide. You also want to have a convenient IDE to develop, as Qt Creator is the most convenient and suitable IDE to develop your Qt application, as is really well done, and it's designed to really fit all the need of Qt developers. We recommend to use it, unless you are a fan of VI, Nano, and all those command lines. So otherwise, we recommend to use Qt Creator. Then, of course, sorry?
I am doing Qt without Momentic significantly better than Qt Creator. Productivity is much higher.
Let me just finish and we'll back to you, because if we talk to Memetics now, I will take some time. So, of course, you need to have a BlackBerry 10 device. And if you're not lucky enough yet to have one, you can still use the simulator, which is pretty stable, actually. Fabian? OK, so first thing to do is to request the BlackBerry code sign-in keys. You just go to blackberry.com/signed-keys. You will find a form that you need to fill, just basically information, your name, company name, email, country. You also need to provide a registration or a PIN code that you need to remember. Within 2 hours, you should receive actually 2 registration files on your email, which enables you to register and create the developer certificate with the command here you see. Then you need to create a debug token. The debug token actually enables you to deploy your application onto the device without signing it, actually. And of course, remember to upload the debug token onto your device, because this is important. When you deploy your application on the device later, you need to make sure that the debug token you're using match the one on the device. I will back to the point later. Yeah. So I will not go into all the details, how you sign your application and everything. If you want to get more details, please go to BlackBerry website and you will find more detailed information. OK, so the Qt Creator then. As I said, we today are going to use the Qt Creator IDE. As I said, it's a cross-platform environment that enables you to develop for Qt. What you may not know is that from version 2.6 and higher, Qt Creator provides a QNX or BlackBerry 10 plugin that enables you to build, deploy, and debug your Qt application on BlackBerry 10. We highly recommend you to use a recent build of Qt Creator, because since 2.6 release, we made quite some improvements. We fixed quite some bugs, and we added quite some features to make the setup more easy. So either you can compile Qt Creator from the Gitorious repository, or you can pick a nightly built Qt Creator from Qt project. We will actually show you where you can find this later. So as I said, the plugin enables you to easily set up your environment to build, deploy your Qt apps on BlackBerry 10. It also includes quite some features, like a bar descriptor editor. I will talk later about a bar descriptor. It also contains a basic support for cascades, and also a support for sign-in keys, which will be available soon. OK, so I will briefly talk about the bar descriptor. In order actually to make your application or to deploy your application into the device, you need to create a package on BlackBerry 10. So to create a package, you simply need a bar descriptor. And with the command you see here, this will create the package of your application based on the bar descriptor. Of course, you don't need to remember this command, because Qt Creator will handle everything behind scene. If we look a bit into details What is this bar descriptor? Is actually just an XML file that basically contains information about your application, and the identification, your application name, ID, author ID. Also assets. Assets are all the resources that your application may need. It could be images, could be libraries, could be QML files for Qt development. Also information about launching, the entry point, orientation, arguments if you need. And of course, permissions if your application need to access camera, internet, shared file, and so on. Okay, so now I will quickly show you how to set up your environment using Qt Creator. I will need to sit first. Okay, thank you.
This is here, Qt Creator is here.
Yeah. So basically, what we have here is a recent build of Qt Creator, which we actually built last weekend based on the master branch on Gitorius. So I guess most of you, or those of you who uses Qt Creator, are now used with the new way how Qt Creator handles your project with the kit and the way how they configure everything. You will notice that we actually have a BlackBerry setup page, which enables you easily to set up your environment. You just need to provide the path to your NDK. First, I'll show you here that I currently have just one desktop kit, which uses one Qt version for desktop and one GCC compiler, so nothing really special. So if I go back to my BlackBerry setting page, I will just set my NDK, and that's it. So now Qt Creator generates all the components that I need to build and deploy my Qt applications. If I go back to build and run, we'll see that a new compiler has been added, a Qt version from the NDK, and two kits. One targeting the simulator and another one targeting the device. You can see that it uses the component like the Qt version that has been added, and also the compiler and a debugger from the NDK. What is missing here, as you can see, is the device. So for that, I will just go here and add a new BlackBerry device. I give it like Fabian or Fabian MIDI device, both. Anyway, doesn't matter. Then it's actually a physical device. I will change the IP address as we have different one on the device. I will set the password that I'm not gonna tell you. Then, as I'm using a physical device, I need to pick a debug token, which is somewhere here. Yeah. As I said, at this step, actually, Qt Creator assumes that you have already uploaded your debug token onto the device. So if you didn't do so, first upload it, then select it here. Well, this, by the way, this will be like fixed or improved for next versions. That automatically, when you signed up, Qt Creator will upload the debug token on the device and set everything. So now I go next. I need to generate SSH key for my device. This should take some seconds. Okay, next, finish. Don't remember to apply changes. I will go back to build and run to my kit, and I will add my device. Okay, and basically that's it. Your environment is set. If I now create a new project, you can see that Qt Creator suggests some templates to use for BlackBerry 10. I will pick, for example, BlackBerry Quick application. We'll call it BB Jam Qt. Next. By default, the BlackBerry kit for device is enabled, so I'm happy with it. I don't need any management. I don't need any to add. You can basically here you can add icons and splash screens, but I will just skip it. So as you can see, it's basically a basic, a normal Qt project. The only additional file is this bar descriptor here, which enables you, as I say, to create the package. you can see that Qt Creator provide a bar descriptor editor. So you can here see you can set information about your application author. You can also set, if you didn't do before, icon, splash screen, orientation, permission, etc. And also for the assets, by default, the bar descriptor just need to know what's the entry point and where is the executable, and then the QML. As I'm using QML files, so it needs to know where they are so that they can package them together. And you also have a native view on the XML source file. So now I will just print something on the on-click signal handler. Just print. Okay. Now I will save and run. You can see that now Qt Creator builds the application, and it uses basically the BlackBerry command lines to create the package and deploy the application. Okay. Okay. So here is my application. If you can, it's actually just a hello world, boring hello world text. And if I click on it, can you go to the?
Oh. You have to press again.
Okay. So you can see that if I click on it, you have the display text there. So this is basically just a simple hello world, but this is not why you are here. So you want something more exciting. That's why I will let now my colleague Fabian explain to you how to start developing our Qt-based game.
Okay, thank you, Midi.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the slides. Before I want to talk about project setup, I want to explain what Box2D is, because we will use it in our application. Box2D in general is a 2D physics engine, which is cross-platform and widely used. The most famous example is probably Angry Birds. It allows you to simulate the correct physical behavior for 2D items in your scene. We found a project that adds QML bindings to Box2D. You see the link there to Gitorius. And what we did, we just checked out, we cloned the project, and we now want to add this to our final project. So here is how we want to set up the project in a cross-platform way. We will have one. We'll have one super project that is actually a Qt subtiers project, and we will have two targets that we built. One is the Box2D QML plugin, and one is the application itself. So this here will build a executable, and this here will build a library. I first want to show you how to set up these two guys here. So back to the Qt Creator. Fortunately, I have to close your project MIDI. I'll start a new project. As I told you, I will start with a subtiers project. Give it a sensible name, for example, the game. By default, the desktop kit is enabled. I will also enable the BlackBerry kit, and I will leave out the simulator for now, because I don't need it. When I finish adding both kits, the Qt Creator detects that I use the BlackBerry kit, and it reminds me to add a bar descriptor file, and it asks me if it should add the bar descriptor file by default. I click yes here, because I want to deploy the application later. And now I add the application project that will create my application executable. I use a Qt Quick 1 application here. Also name app and finish. So I want to build this now on desktop. And when I click run here, we'll see that this dialog will pop up, because the Qt Creator wants to run the project, the super project, the game, but it doesn't know which executable to choose. So we will supply it with the executable here. which is located in the subdirectory, and the Hello World app comes up. Good. So what's now missing is this Box2D library, or this Box2D QML plugin that we want to build. I checked out the project here. This is a fresh Git clone. This is a normal Qt project with a Box2D profile. And I'll just copy this project into our, damn it, where is it? Oh, it's here. Into our directory. So the only thing I have to do here is add the new project to the Qt Creator. And it should pop up here in a second, hopefully. Yes. OK. So I can now build both targets. Build output, it will first compile Box2D, and afterwards the application executable. Should probably also go into the build directory, which is here. And as you see, it creates two folders. One folder with the application executable, the other folder with a library. So, but what we actually want to do in our project is, back to the app, with our main QML file, and we want to do something like import Box2D 1.0. Okay. If we execute this now, it will show us an error message here. To fully understand this error message and what we can do about this, Mehdi will introduce how a QML plugin actually looks like and how the QML engine looks for this QML plugin.
OK, thank you, Fabian. So here I will briefly just tell you how to use, not to develop, how to use a QML plugin. So once you got or you download a QML plugin and you build it, make sure you generate a library, and then make sure you have a QML dir file, which is actually will be later parsed by the QML engine to know actually which plugin or which plugins to load, because the QML there just tell the engine what are the plugin that you have. You sometimes also you need to have like QML files. In our example, we have just a library and QML there. And then this is actually what Fabian did. He just built the Box2D, and what he tried to do, he made an import Box2D 1.2. And of course, at that moment, the QML engine is not aware of the path of your import or your plugin. So what you need to do, you simply need to tell him where to find the plugin or the QML there. You can do that either using the add import path method of the Qt declarative class, Qt declarative engine, or you can set the QML import path. And once you want to install your plugin, we recommend actually to have this folder structure here. So put everything into an import folder, imports, and then this import should contain all your installation or your plugins. Here, for example, we'll have an import, and within it we will have a folder called Box2D, which contain the library, the plugin, and the QML there. And this is actually what Fabian is going to do right now.
OK, thanks, Mehdi. So this is what we want to achieve. We want our Box2D library to be built in a folder called imports. And in this imports folder, there should be another folder with a plugin name. And in this folder, there should be a QML dir file and the actual library. If you look at our current setup, it's not quite the case. In our build directory, we only have one Box2D folder that contains the library. There is no trace of the QML dir file because it is actually in the source folder here. You can just open it. It's a very simple file. It just contains the path to the plugin that has to be loaded for the import. Good. So how do we set this up? There are different possibilities now. We could, for example, use a custom copy step in our in a profile that tells QMake to copy the files. What I want to do, no, not here. What I want to do is use make install for that. Make install is also a step to copy necessary assets to a special path. I already set it up here, more or less. In general, I will introduce a target path variable here that points to the out project working directory. This is the build directory. And then it creates a folder called imports, and in this folder, a folder called box2d. We then set the output path of the target to this path, and then we introduce a new structure called install qmldir files, install qmldir, and we set the file path to the project working directory. This is the source directory, and include the qmldir file here. And then we set the output path to the same as for the target. And we add both to the installs keyword or installs variable. So this indicates that make install will copy these files to the correct location, to this location actually. Okay. Another thing we have to do, unfortunately, is we have to clear the installs variable here, because the QCreator template sets some weird install paths for the application binary, but that's not so important right now. The important part is if I click build now, nothing happens, because I first have to add the make install step as custom build step. By default, only the make step is called here. And I will set this for both kits. Good. So if I click build now, it's building for a device which I don't want. Build it for desktop. So, okay. So let's look in our build directory. We have now a directory called imports. In this directory, a folder called box2d. And here we have a qmldir and a library, which is what we want to achieve. So, but as you already seen, it still doesn't work because we didn't provide the engine with the import path yet. That's what we want to do in the next step. We go to the source file into the main CPP and add our imports folder to the import paths. Now, the application runs again. I mean, there is not much happening right now, but the import works now. So the QML engine can resolve the dependency here, or can, yeah. Good. So back to the slides. Just before I want to start development, I want to talk about the Qt resource system. The Qt resource system, as some of you most likely know, is a platform-independent way to store your assets file in your application binary. That means, like this graphics visualizes it. You have several assets files that you want to provide with your application, and you tell the Qt resource compiler by adding a Qt resource collection file to directly compile these files into your binary. So in the end, you will have just one executable. So no assets anymore, just one executable. If you're deploying for different platforms, I'm always recommending to follow this and use the Qt resource system, because it makes deployment much, much easier. Because the only thing you have to take care of is deploying this one executable. And no assets are lost on the way, and so on. And one thing I forgot to mention is that that resources compiled into the executable can be accessed using this prefix here, the QRC prefix. And of course, you have to add the resource collection file to your project file. So that's what we want to do now for our application. By default, this is not the case because the template we used, the QCreator template, does some custom copying in here. So we delete all this. I have to add just the QML files as other files, otherwise I don't see them anymore. This is not important for building anything, it's just for seeing my QML files here. Hello? Okay. Where are my QML files now?
You specify, I think, /.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay. So it should pop up now. Okay. Here's my main QML. As I told you, I want to add a resource collection file here. So add new Qt resource file. I call it common. I'll talk about this later why I call this common. And I finish. Dialog. Add a prefix to just / and add my files, which in this case is only one file, QML file. Okay. Then I will also remove this stuff here and set a background color to black. Good. Just execute it. And we see it's not taking the right file. So why is that? This is because I forgot to add this prefix. I just told you before, this QRC prefix. So the QML application viewer will not pick the file up correctly. I have to modify this slightly. And then I add the prefix. When we execute it now, see that this resource is now used. Okay. So, back to the slides. Now we can begin with the exciting stuff. We want to create the game, or an early prototype of the game. That is, we want to create the boxes. We want to create a boundary that contains our boxes, and we want to create a ball that we can shoot around. So, how do we do that? I'll go back to the main QML file. I already imported box2d 1.0 here, so I can start using the box2d elements. I will start using the world object. The world object in box2d is basically sets all the parameters of your simulation. As you see here, it covers the whole screen, and it sets things like the gravity and time and so on. So all the elements all the box2d elements that I'm adding have to be children of this world object. Good. I first want to start with the boxes here. So I'll add a new component. I call it minibox. I already prepared something here. This will be our minibox component. It is a box2d body element, and the box2d body element contains certain parameters like the body type, which in this case is a dynamic body. That means it's fully simulated by the box2d world. It contains the physical structure of the element, which is a box in this case, and it contains a visual element, which is the QML rectangle, and it's actually a green rectangle. So back to the main. So what I want to do now is add 20 boxes. This is the easiest way to do that is using a QML repeater. I want to add 20 boxes, and I set a delegate to mini box. Okay, and I give it also a x value. So if I execute this now, I see that it doesn't find mini box. Why is that? Because I forgot to add it to the resource file. So it is not compiled into the application executable. I'll just correct that. If I run this now, you see boxes falling down, and nothing is stopping them from falling down. So we want to also correct that by adding the boundaries, like these red boundaries. So what I'll do is add another QML file, which I call wall. This object is even simpler. The only difference, or one of the differences to the object before, is that this time it's a static body, so it's not fully simulated by the world, and the visual representation is a brown rectangle. I can now add these to the simulation in the main file. Brown. Yes. I prepared some snippets before. What I actually did here is adding 4 walls, one for the bottom, one for the top, one for the left, and one for the right. I also have to add this file. And if I execute it now, we see that we have the walls, and the boxes are now contained. So the last thing that's missing, the ball. It's a bit more, the element is a bit more complicated, but not too complicated. It's also a body, has as visual representation a QML image, ball.png, which I also have to add to my project. And as physical representation, it has a circle, as you would expect from a ball. I will also add my my ball.png. This one. And add both files to the resources. I also have to add my ball to the scene. Give it an ID and a x coordinate from 100. Oops. So when I run this now, got my ball now. One thing that's missing is the user interaction, but we can fix this very easily. Just add a mouse area that spans over the whole world, and on click we apply a linear pulse to the ball object, this here, and then we hopefully can shoot it around. So let's see, looks nice. So we have a basic prototype now of the application running on the desktop. The next step will be to bring this on the device, and Mehdi will show us how to do that.
Thank you, Fabian. So actually, this is the easiest part. Just you need to open your bar descriptor and modify actually the entry point, and also add the QML plugin or the import folder where you put your QML there and the library. And I'll go here. So if I open my bar descriptor, I just go to assets. So here the executable is somewhere under app. It doesn't matter what you call it. We will just call it app. Then I add, okay, it doesn't matter. I add another assets for our imports folder, which is called import, and I will just call it imports again. And basically that's it. Now you can deploy your app on the device. I will check just if it's...
And what you also see here, sorry, me. What you also see here, that deployment is very easy because we use the Qt resource system. We only have to deploy 2 assets. This is first the imports folder, which contains our QML plugin, and the application executable. We don't have to deploy anything more.
Because everything is already embedded in your executable when Fabian did that on the QRC. Good point. So now, hopefully, I will save and try to run it. So now, actually, it first built the library because it was built for desktop, not for device. So it should take quite some few seconds. Okay, done. Now it builds the application, and it will create the bar package and install or upload the application. You will just ignore this dialog. And if I go on the device here, what's called the game?
The last one.
The last one is that one. Yeah. So you can see that the app is properly deployed. So now I will let Fabian continue extending the app.
Oh, thanks, Midi. Okay, so we've seen the app now. It doesn't look like the app I showed you in the beginning. We want to extend it a bit more. In particular, we want to use sensors for adjusting the gravity. So if you turn the device, the gravity or direction of the gravity should change. We're using for that Qt Mobility, a Qt Mobility module called Sensors. It's actually very easy to add the sensor support to your project. The only thing you have to do is import Qt Mobility .sensors 1 or 2. Then add the sensor you want, which will be the accelerometer. What the accelerometer does is just start the sensor when the component is complete, and when the reading changes of the sensor, it will also change the gravity of the world object here. If we execute this on the device now, this will just work fine, hopefully. Switch back. Still deploying.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you see now, that the boxes and the ball are adjusting to the gravity. I mean, this already looks cool, but it has a big flaw. If I want to run this on a desktop, well, it will tell me it cannot find the Qt Mobility Sensors module because it's not installed there. So how do we tackle this problem? If we are using resource files, we can use a trick. We can just deploy different resources for different platforms. We actually don't have too much time, so I'll jump a bit forward in the development here. Close the project. This is a later stage of the project. I'll just close these files. Okay. So what you see here is the application having 2 sensors implementation. One is a very generic one. It just contains an empty QML item and a QQuick import. The other one, the sensors BB10 QML, has an accelerometer and uses the import Qt Mobility Sensors. In the main file, we just include a sensors component here. And this is resolved during runtime. So if we look at the resources, we have now 2 more resource collection files. One is for BB10, which contains the BB10 sensor. And now comes the trick. We give it an alias. The alias points to QML app sensors.qml. So this file here will be picked up here just as the sensors component. And for the generic one, we use the generic sensors.qml. In a project file, we can resolve it like this. We have if we're building for BlackBerry, we will use the BB10 QRC file. If we're not using building for BlackBerry, we will just use the generic one. So with this, we can make the app run on desktop and on mobile with the same code base. So on desktop, you see, there are no sensor values applied, and on the phone, just add the kit for the phone. What I also will do now is make it a bit faster, compilation, and go PAL output. It's building the same for the phone. Switch to the HDMI. No? Oh.
Yeah.
That's working. Okay. Deployed the application, which is then using the sensors. And we're doing this with the same code base, with the exact same project. We're just deploying different QML files. So, no, not anymore. Just close that. Good. So, one step further, we probably also want to add some other APIs, some other platform APIs. I'll just open another project. It's in here, the final one. I polished the app a bit, and what I also included is now a high score table. And I don't know if you guys know, we have a score loop API on our platform. Score loop is basically an API about social gaming, which lets you share your scores with different players around the world, or in your country, or with your friends. And I've, again, two QML files. One, a generic one that just uses SQLite for storing the data. Another one that uses the score loop implementation. And on the C++ side, I added a score loop folder. And if I'm building for BlackBerry, I'm using the score loop implementation. If not, I'm using the generic one. Also, these two QRC files have been extended to using the correct high score one. If I execute the application on the desktop, we'll see the final result, hopefully. Yes, so that's the final result. The goal of the game is to crash all these boxes, and then I get the generic high score table. On device, it will look a bit differently. So, but we basically don't have too much time anymore. So.
Okay, thank you, Fabian. Actually, we are reaching the end of our presentation. If you need more details, or you want to get more information, you can find us on the Qt QNX channel on Freenode IRC. You can also find detailed information how to use Qt for QNX and BlackBerry 10 platforms on the Qt project. You can reach us personally on our personal address email. And also, if you're interested, you can find the final code of our game application in GitHub. So thank you very much. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation and that was informative for you. If you have any question, please raise your hand and you will get the microphone. Thank you.
please wait for a microphone. Do we have a microphone?
We have.
Because all the questions will be recorded also.
Thank you.
Thanks. Does it mean that there is a desktop version of Cascade
Well,
to make development quicker by debugging on the computer?
I'm not sure if there is a desktop version for Cascades. It might run on desktop, but there is currently, I think, no official version on desktop. It's
But-
just a simulator.
Yeah, but actually, if you want to just debug, I think Momentex is very well designed for Cascade development, and I guess it really provides a lot of features and tools to debug and profile your Cascade application.
Yeah,
But for desktop, I'm not
but-
sure. Okay, thank you. Actually, there was a comment or a question in the beginning of our presentation. Sorry, if you, yeah, okay.
I only stated that Cascade, how is it called? Momentex I consider it a more productive IDE because it can do multi-threaded compiles if you set it up correctly. The only
Same for the Qt Creator.
well, I never got it working with a Qt Creator, but it always
Just-
works with.
I can show you.
Just-
Actually, I did it once in the presentation. You go to your project. This is the make step. What you do is give it a -j, whatever.
Wait, I have to make a picture of this. This would be helpful for me.
Okay.
So J means jobs, and the number you state at the end is how many in how many threads or how many jobs it should create to
Yes,
compile.
but try running Qt Creator on 2 screens. The user interface is unusable for dual screen operation of Qt Creator.
What do you mean with 2 screens? You,
If you
like
have
two?
a dual screen workstation,
Okay, yeah.
Eclipse performs better.
Okay, might be.
Anyway, the idea, if you're, what we recommend is if you wanted to deploy or to build Qt native application, I guess most of Qt developers are very happy with Qt Creator because it's very, very well designed for Qt development. That's why we have this plugin. Momentex, we recommend it if you wanted to develop for Cascade, as I just mentioned before. So Cascade for Momentex, we have a Cascade support in Qt Creator, but it's very basic. It just enables you to start like a simple application, and you can extend it later if you want. Other questions? Yeah.
Hi. Could you do if devs in QML?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
What you can do is export the platform as context property, and then do some if defs in your JavaScript functions. So, for example, if you're building on Linux, you export as context property a string like Linux, and then on the QML side, or you export a variable called platform, and you give it the value Linux. And on the QML side, you can then parse this platform variable and determine if you're on Linux or on BB10 or whatever. But there is not really a concept like ifdef in QML yet.
What you just described might be cleaner than the stuff that you're doing with the QMake, with the different QRC file.
Yeah, the problem is this cannot be handled really. I mean, you cannot do an ifdef around your QML objects. You can do the parsing in the JavaScript function itself.
Because it's
So
launched
for-
on runtime, not on compile time.
Yeah.
So you need to handle that
Yeah, I
later.
Okay.
Other questions, maybe? Maybe not? Okay, so thank you everybody for coming here, and enjoy your BlackBerry Jam.